Well, welcome to Sheroes Unlimited Behind the Book podcast. I'm Jaynie Morris, and it's great to have your company once again. Or if you're listening to this or watching it for the very first time, welcome. We love to have your company on our Behind the Book podcast because each and every episode is me having a chat to a fabulous female author who's got a great story to tell. Now, our special guest today, so thrilled, haven't spoken to her on Behind the Book for 2 years now. But our special guest is very well known to all of the Sheroes Unlimited community and indeed the world. She's an international best-selling author. She's a comedian. She has, I'm just looking at the list here because it's actually been updated since I last saw her. She's written 15 best-selling novels. Her very first novel, Puberty Blues, she wrote at the age of 17. She left school when she was 16. She wrote this when she was 17. That was turned into a major film and a TV series. She is a sitcom writer, ambassador for Plan International. She's also an ambassador for the National Autistic Society. She is a mum. She's got 2 amazing children. She's Australian British. She's just the best. Kathy Lette, welcome back.
Oh, it's so lovely to see you. We always have the best girl talk, don't we? We've bonded big time over the years, haven't we?
We have indeed. And as I said at the beginning now, Kathy, I mean, the first time we had you on Sheroes Unlimited Behind the Book was 2 years ago, nearly 2 years ago, when your HRT, Husband Replacement Therapy novel was released, another great bestseller. That was an awesome book. And now, and since then, of course, I mean, the world has been crazy for the last 2 years, and you've been locked into it. You got locked into Australia. Like, what's been going on?
Well, first of all, this new book I've written a comedy. I tried to write the funniest book I could because have we ever needed a laugh more? You know, they say laughter's the best medicine. It's about the only medicine we have right now. 2 years of pandemic and now rootin' tootin' shootin' Putin with his finger on the nuclear trigger. Wow. If one thing it's taught us is to seize the day, to carpe diem like there's no tomorrow, because maybe there won't be a tomorrow. So yes, of course, I was locked down in London. And then I tried to my mother was in intensive care and I tried to get back and I couldn't get back because Australia turned into Ozcatraz. Got back, quarantined for 2 weeks in the hotel. Finally saw mum. Then, of course, I couldn't get out of Australia. You know, it was so I had to get an exemption to get back to my autistic child. Like, you know, I was living my own soap opera. But the book that I've written now, which, as I said, I tried to make it as funny as I can, but it also takes the readers on a whirlwind trip around the globe. And I wanted to, because the only flights we could have were flights of fancy. We couldn't go anywhere. So because I have a travel column in Britain called Adventure Before Dementia.
Love it.
And I have been to a lot of amazing places, the Serengeti. I've gone hot air ballooning the Serengeti. I've gone to Egypt. Climbed a volcano in Iceland. I mean, all sorts of amazing adventures I've had. I've woven a lot of that into the book. And I'll just quickly tell listeners, and I'm sorry, and people viewing this, look at me. I'm in a hotel room on tour. I've got no makeup. I've got no lights. Just pretend.
You look fabulous as always. You look fabulous.
I'll just give a little bit of context for the book. How it starts is when Gwen, who's a 60-year-old teacher, is driving to school and she hears on the radio that a man's been taken by a great white shark where her husband swims every morning. So she screams down to the beach in her car, gets out just when she's realizing that it is her husband who's missing and she starts grieving. Another woman turns up on a motorbike, 50-year-old jazz singer Tish, who thinks it's her husband. And they very quickly realize that they've been married to a bigamist and he's disappeared with all their money. So it turns into an odd couple comedic romp around the world as they buddy up to chase the money. And I really, really wanted it to be a celebration of female friendship, you know, as women are each other's human wonder bras, uplifting, supportive, making each other look bigger and better as you and I are each other's human wonder bras. So it's a celebration of female friendship, but it also blows a raspberry at ageism. because when I look back at my literary career, I think I kind of invented chick lit with Puberty Blues, Llama Parlour, Girls Night Out. Even though I hate that expression, we've had this discussion before. I mean, to me, chick lit men who write first person funny contemporary fiction get compared to Chekhov, and we get Chick-off, and we get a pink cover with a cupcake on it. It's infuriating. But then I kind of also invented mummy lit with Fatal Attraction and Mad Cows. That's a genre now. And I sort of invented nip lit with Nip and Tuck. But for women my age, and whenever I read a book with a 60-year-old woman, she usually just wilts away with loneliness and despair, dies all alone in some flat and gets eaten by her cats. Now, I don't know any women like that. All my women friends are funny, feisty, frank, fabulous, swinging off a chandelier with a toy boy between their teeth. They're the women I want to read about. I want them to be the protagonists and drive the plot. So I've been really exercised about ageism. And I think we need a new genre. And I was thinking, well, I was workshopping this with my sisters, and I think, what could this new genre be? And we decided the best name for it would be I Don't Give a Shit Lit. The best thing about this age, post-menopause, is the first time ever you don't care what people think about you. And it's really, really liberating, isn't it? So HRT and now this one, Till Death Will Little Light Maiming Do Us Part, are my first two books in my new genre of I Don't Give a Shit Lit, where I want to encourage women to go forth and be fabulous. And also to have a great second act. Sorry, I'm talking so much, but I've got so much to tell you.
No.
I think for women, life is in two acts. We talked about this last time. The trick is surviving that interval, which is hideous, where, you sweat so much it's like the Gestapo is trying to get a confession out of you. But after that, I think it's the best time of a woman's life. I mean, look at you. You're just so, I know you're younger than me, but you're so gorgeous.
Only by 1 year.
Well, you look so much younger. You look so much younger. And I think, post-menopause, no periods, no pregnancy scares. Your kids have grown up. You can cut the psychological umbilical cord. And now with the rocket fuel of HRT, we've got energy and pizzazz and oomph. We're financially independent. We can just take on the world. And it infuriates me that men my age get described as the silver fox and the man of experience, whereas I'm written off as an old hag, an old bag, and an old chook. Whereas, I think we're putting the sex into sexagenarian myself. And I refuse to be put out to pasture. But unfortunately, we never see women who look like us even on television. 85% of people on television over 50 in Australia are men. And any woman who is on television over 50, well, they've usually done a lot of cosmetic surgery and things. And I'm like, read between my lines. It's all there. The books, the babies, the hours of fun-loving flirtation. I don't want to have a personality-ectomy. So, and I know that, women are kind of given a cloak of invisibility at this age. The question is, are we going to use that cloak for good or for evil?
Let's take the evil.
I've mounted my high horse and I'm galloping off into the sunset, but I am championing women in their second act and just saying, have a great second act. Don't feel guilty about it. Put yourself first for the first time in your life.
Do you think that that's the biggest hurdle, like when you speak with your girlfriends and what have you, Kathy, that because everything that you've just said, absolutely 1,000,000% agree with, as you and I both know, because we've talked about that. One of the things that I've found, and it's breaking down, is that women our age, and I call us the women over 50, right? And beyond, women are our age. Sometimes if we break that and we get into our power and we get into our independence, we go, well, crap, not having the Botox, not doing this, but I am just going for it and just going to live life, because let's face it, we've only got one. And sometimes our girlfriends or other women our age go, oh, no, you bet, they just stay in this little because we're getting old now, and that support thing. How do we get all the girls on board?
Yeah, well, I think first of all, get new girlfriends if they're saying that. Don't let anyone rain on your happiness parade. And also they might need a little bit of HRT, because HRT
Ah,
is rocket fuel. Now, what happens, we talked about this when I wrote HRT, husband replacement therapy, but what happens to women biologically is so interesting. After the menopause, your estrogen goes down and your testosterone comes up. So you
yes.
get a little bit more selfish, a little bit more bolshy, a little bit more like a bloke. And of course, what happens to men is the opposite, where their testosterone goes down and their estrogen comes up. And they want to sit at home and nest. And women are like, I've nested, I've buttered 4 billion acres of toast. I've cooked 4,000 flocks of sheep. I've roasted 10 million schools of salmon. I want to go up Everest and down the Amazon. Because for men, when their testosterone goes down, their estrogen comes up, it just gives them less oomph and less appetite for life. So the majority of divorces now in Australia are initiated by women. And the two peak times are when the last child finishes school and when the husband retires. Because, we're living for such a long time now, from honeymoon to tomb can be like 70 or 80 years. That's a long time for someone to find your anecdotes interesting, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. So, yes, I think and women, we've always put ourselves last. We always took the burnt chop, the burnt bit of toast. We never got the window seat on the aeroplane, but now, because of this surge we get in testosterone, we can just, for the very first time, think, what is it that I want? And don't feel guilty about it. Don't let your guilt gland throb. If any of your kids, say, don't go on that skis trip, spend kids' inheritance, just remind them what you gave up for them: your figure, your pelvic floor, that sports car you could have bought if you weren't, buying their school uniforms, etc. So it's if not now, when? And especially after the pandemic, I think, let's face it, a Zimmer frame is really going to cramp your style on a black ski run or when you're scuba diving. If not now, when? Carpe diem, like there's no tomorrow. And
I, I,
don't
I,
feel guilty about it.
I think one of the things that I love about you is that I mentioned before just a couple of the organizations that you're a passion ambassador for, but I always put you, because you're so accessible through social media and everything else, Kathy, is that I always put you as the ambassador for Get Out and Live.
Yeah.
And especially you're back here home in Australia at the moment. You've been here for a few months, and I know that you're on your way back to your second home, your main home in London in a couple of weeks. But throughout the course of the time that you've been here, you haven't stopped, and you've been all over the place, and you've been with whale sharks and everything, haven't you? Like, it's just like, so
Yeah.
you're certainly an ambassador for everything that you're saying, that we girls need to get off our butts, our over 50 butts, and get out there and just do it. Because like you and I said before, for a very big percentage of women, especially women over 50, COVID uncovered more than a virus in their relationships.
It did, really did. And of course, one of the big problems is that, yes, we know women have we've been hit. We know that we don't have equal pay. We know that we getting concussion, hitting our head on the glass ceiling. We're supposed to clean it while we're up there. But there's a second glass ceiling at home, because even though women make up 50% of the workforce, we're still doing about 99.9% of all the housework and all the childcare.
Yeah.
And of course, I have an autistic son, so I'll always be looking after him. But for women who still are trying to do that kid and career juggling, you juggle so much, you could be in the Cirque du Soleil. And I used to have these arguments with my own husband saying, you've got to help me more around the house. He'd be like, well, I'd like to help, but I'm a man and I can't multitask, which is a huge biological cop-out, because no man would have any trouble multitasking at, say, an orgy. He'd have no trouble at that time. He'd be tweaking and twirling. It'd all be going on. So it's, and I always say to men, it's in their interest to help women more around the house. First of all, it's scientifically proven no woman ever shot her husband while he was vacuuming. And also, we might then find him more attractive, because housework is foreplay for females.
It
Isn't it?
is.
And I think, when a woman's worked all day, comes home at night, defrosts the chops, cooks the dinner, finds the lost sports kit, helps with the homework, does the nagging about the teeth cleaning, reads the bedtime stories, whatever age the kids are, or does the digital detox and takes all the laptops and phones away from the teenagers, blah, blah, blah. Ironing, washing, puts the cat out. By the time you get into bed, the one thing you're fantasizing about is sleep. And of course, then you get the hand groping across the sheets. And you think, here's this guy, he hasn't helped me around the house or talked to me all day. And he thinks I'm in the mood for love. And of course, I'm in the mood for running him through with a carving knife. And yet he hasn't noticed, he's prodding away at your clitoris as though it's an elevator button. He's running late for a meeting. And you just want to say to him, like, take the stairs, buddy, take the stairs. But for any woman listening who wants to get out of sex with her husband, just when you feel the prod of his member in your back, tell him the tax department rang and want to audit his accounts, because not only does he lose the urge for sex, but he won't be able to sleep, so no sleeping either. And I was going to say to you about you saying to women, get up off your bum and go out and have fun. When I look back at my life, there's nothing I regret doing, but there's a lot of things I regret not doing. So I've put the big word yes on the fridge, like yes to everything. Go try it. If you don't like it, you can always go home. Like, just try it. Don't shut down. Don't let your life get smaller. Let it get bigger. And the example I can think of that might make you laugh is about always saying yes. When I was working in LA on a sitcom years and years ago, we had to cast an unknown actor, and we cast this guy called George Clooney. I don't know if I've ever told you this story. Have I told you this?
No.
Yeah,
no. I would have remembered that.
So we cast this unknown actor, George Clooney, and he asked me out for coffee. And I said, no. I can remember the exact words that came out of my mouth. I'm a writer. I don't go out with actors. You put other people's words in your mouth when you never know where they've been. Years later, I'm in London. I've had 2 babies. I'm covered in vomit, haven't slept for eons. And one of my writer friends from that show was visiting me in LA. Do you remember ER? Remember that
yes.
show? So ER's on in the background, and I'm going, oh my God, look at Dr. Ross. Isn't he gorgeous? I could swim through a pool of my own drool to get to that guy. And he goes, but that's the guy who asked you out. That's George Clooney. And I'm like, I mean, I lay in a fetal position and sobbed for 2 months.
Oh my God.
I know. I thought I'd bring him at the time and go, oh, George, about that date. I had time to think it through. So, just never say no. You never know where it will take you. Just say yes.
Wow. That story's blown me away.
I know.
That story has blown me away. You wow. I'm never saying no ever again.
Well, and the funny thing,
just in case.
I know, just in case. The funny thing is, though, I did meet him again years later, because Jeff came home. I was married to a human rights lawyer for 28 years. And
yes.
He came home one day and said that he'd taken on a new junior by the name of Amal, who obviously went on to marry George. So I used to see George all the time, and he'd come over for dinner. And let me tell you, girls, that when he comes for dinner, he clears the table and stacks the dishwasher.
Oh my God.
Which is foreplay for all females, as I said earlier about housework. So,
did you ever remind him that he asked you to go out?
Tragically, he couldn't remember. And that's how much impact I made. But in fact, when George and Amal were away, they're always saving the world. They were always saving world underdogs from their care.
Yeah.
And while they were off in some fungal jungle somewhere, I used to say to George, if you're a little bit lonely, a little bit lost, just call me and I'll come over, and offer some comfort. That's the kind of self-sacrificing, lovely person I am. You
are, Kathy. You are. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing that one. Indeed. Kathy, your latest book, Till Death or a Little Light Maiming. I love your titles. I just like every one of them. And I was saying, and I'll share with everyone now, where Kathy and I were chatting before we started this interview and catching up. And one of the things that some girlfriends and I were chatting yesterday, and we were talking about, I mean, everybody that follows us knows that I've just gone through a marriage breakdown, and we were talking about that yesterday. And one of my other girlfriends has just started she's just going through a marriage breakdown as well. And she asked me, she said, with everything that you've been going through, you know, I wonder, could you recommend a therapist? You know, who's your counselor? Who's your therapist? And I said, Kathy Lette. read her books. Just, you know, like if you want a recent starter, get HRT, husband replacement therapy, because that was my big sitting on the couch session with Kathy.
That's when we bonded. Yes, exactly.
And that was what got me to have the courage to leave. Yes, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I was just going to say I only write because it's cheaper than therapy. So I'm doing my own therapy, writing these books for you. In fact, what I try and do with every book, I always write the book I wish I'd had when I was going through something. It's almost like a manual for the women coming up behind me saying, this is what happened to me. This is how I survived. This is how you can have a laugh about it. Because if you can laugh about something, it's like strapping a giant shock absorber to your brain. So, you know,
Yeah.
I always think if I can make one woman feel a little bit better about her life and have a laugh about it, that to me is better than winning the Booker Prize, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And a classic example, Kathy, is that so as our viewers know, because Kathy's spoken about Jules. So Kathy has an autistic son. I have an Asperger's son, and Kathy's book, The Boy That Fell to Earth, is if you have an autistic child, I thoroughly recommend. Is it or grandchild? Yeah, exactly. I thoroughly recommend you go and get that book that Kathy wrote, because when I read it, I've read it twice, and when I read it the first time, I thought I was reading about my child, and I understood about my child far better than I had in all the years prior. So just a side one, make sure if you do have autism in your family, that book in itself, and it's chock-a-block with humor. I mean, laugh, honestly. But
you are being my human wonder bra today. Absolutely uplifting and supportive. Thank you.
So easy to do, because you're amazing. And this book, the latest book, I haven't got my copy yet. It hasn't arrived. Good old transport issues here in Australia. However, having said that, what I prepared earlier.
Oh, thank you so much for doing that.
What I prepared earlier, Till Death or a Little Light Maiming Do Us Part, has just been launched. Kathy, you're doing your Aussie tour on this at the moment, but did I see it went to number 3 today?
Went to number 4.
Number 4, sorry.
It's only been out a week, so onward and upward, we hope, you know.
Exactly. And how's the tour been going so far?
Oh, it's great. It's tiring. I'm really tired, but I get to meet so many fabulous women. Australian women are the world's best kept secret. Funny, feisty, frank, loyal, loving, wise, witty, just wonderful. And to spend time in their company. And the lovely thing is, when I'm signing books, women come up and they bring me little anecdotes, like little anecdotal doggy bags about things that have happened to them that I might be able to use in a novel, which is just so generous, you know. And when we all get together and we have girl talk, and we, you know, they ask questions and we laugh, and it's just so bonding. I mean, I think there's usually few men in the audience. I always think, well, they're going to be ovulating by the end of the talk. But it's just wonderful. I just love getting out to meet my readers. It's so flattering because they're so fabulous. You just want to go on a girls' night out with all of them. It's a joy. It's a real joy.
That's yeah, absolutely. It's so wonderful. Well, look, it's great to have you back in Australia again. Obviously, our podcast and for our viewers who are watching this as a video cast, obviously this is international. But I'm speaking to Kathy right now whilst she's in Australia on her Australian tour, launching her latest, most fabulous book, "Till Death or a Little Light Maiming Do Us Part." If you haven't got it yet, you know where to get it. You can get it from all good bookstores. You can get it from, you just order it direct. Go to Kathy Lette's website. You can get it from there as well. Kathy, love seeing you again.
Love seeing you. I mean, I just hope that this book will be the wind beneath our bingo wings.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. And you are the wind beneath my bingo wings. So thank you.
Oh no, well, thank you, and I don't need to say good luck with the rest of the tour because it'll continue to go on swimmingly. Pardon the pun. Given it was a great white shark that took Jason out. I can't let you go without saying this. And I have written it down, so I've got it word for word. One of my favourite quotes that you have said, Kathy, and I want to share it with everybody. And this is for all of we girls, all that are watching and listening to this now. Kathy's tip for youth. My top tip for keeping your youth: lock him in the pool house, girls.
I'd forgotten I wrote that.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Absolutely love you, Kathy. It's a great book.
Ditto, doll, ditto.
It's just incredible. Safe journeys back home. Give Georgina and your beautiful Jules, give him an extra special hug from Jaynie. And I can't wait to see you over in London soon so we can go out and swing from those chandeliers together.
That would be absolute bliss. Lots of love, girls. Now just go forth and be fabulous, okay?
Fantastic. Kathy, thank you so much. We really appreciate you being on Sheroes Unlimited Behind the Book today. And thank you again for your company. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I've loved bringing it to you. Remember, the book is Till Death or a Little Light Maiming Do Us Part. Kathy Lette is the author. It's her latest book. You can get it from all good bookstores, where you can get it online. Booktopia's got it. And of course, if you want to get it direct from Kathy's website, you can order it there as well. Another great book. It's been fantastic bringing Kathy to you. If you'd like to never miss an episode of Sheroes Unlimited Behind the Book, you know what to do. Subscribe. Go to SheroesUnlimited.com. Click the subscribe button there, and every time we do one of these podcasts, you will get it first. And so like, share, and comment below. Spread the love. Kathy Lette's latest book. You know where to get it. Make sure you get it up to #1 for us straight away. And I look forward to having your company next when we bring you Sheroes Unlimited Behind the Book. I'm Jaynie Morris, wherever you are in this beautiful, amazing world of ours. Create an absolutely fabulous day.